Welcome to Emotional Intelligence Mastery, Unlocking the Power Within. In a world where success and fulfillment often hinge on our ability to navigate the complex landscape of emotions, mastering emotional intelligence has never been more essential. This audiobook is your comprehensive guide to understanding and enhancing your emotional intelligence, empowering you to build stronger relationships, lead with empathy, and achieve personal growth. Throughout this journey, we will delve into the science and spirituality behind emotional intelligence, explore its crucial role in our personal and professional lives, and provide practical strategies for developing emotional awareness, managing emotions effectively, and fostering meaningful connections. Whether you are seeking to improve your communication skills, become a more empathetic leader, or simply enhance your overall well-being, this audiobook offers the insights and tools you need. Join us as we unlock the power within, transforming the way we perceive, understand, and respond to our emotions. Embark on this path to emotional intelligence mastery and discover the profound impact it can have on your life. Let's begin this transformative journey together. Chapter 1. Understanding Emotional Intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence, or EQ, refers to the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions, as well as recognize, understand, and influence the emotions of others. It's a skill that some might say is more crucial than IQ in achieving personal and professional success. Picture this: you're in the middle of a stressful project at work. Your idea was just rejected, and you're feeling a mix of anger and dejection. Instead of lashing out or shutting down, emotional intelligence allows you to pause, assess your feelings, and choose a response that ensures constructive progress rather than escalation. Think of it as your internal GPS, guiding you through the chaotic landscape of your emotions. Why is this important for personal growth? Well, understanding your emotions allows you to navigate through life's challenges more adeptly. It builds resilience. For instance, I once found myself overwhelmed with the demands of juggling work, family, and personal aspirations. By tapping into my own emotional intelligence, I learned to prioritize, set boundaries, and communicate effectively with those around me. Each small step of understanding my emotional triggers and responses made a colossal difference. In relationships, whether they are romantic, familial, or friendships, displaying emotional intelligence creates deeper bonds. Empathy, a cornerstone of EQ, helps us understand the perspectives and feelings of others, fostering a nurturing environment. Think about the times you felt truly understood and how that strengthened your connection with someone. Looking closer at the characteristics associated with emotional intelligence, we find it highlights attributes like self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. Self-awareness isn't just about knowing your strengths, it's also about acknowledging your weaknesses and triggers. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to maintain their cool in unbelievably stressful situations? That's part self-regulation. They manage their emotions, keeping them in check. Motivated individuals with high EQ are driven not by external rewards, but by a personal passion and commitment to their goals. On the other hand, empathy allows you to step into someone else's shoes, and social skills enable you to interact harmoniously with others. Combine all these traits, and you have a person who can navigate social complexities with ease, inspire others, and lead with compassion. To elevate your EQ, start by reflecting on your daily interactions and emotional responses. Ask yourself, why did I react that way? What was I feeling? What could I have done differently? Practice mindfulness, actively listen to others, and cultivate empathy. Remember, improving emotional intelligence is a journey, not a destination. Equip yourself with these skills, and you'll find yourself better prepared to deal with whatever life throws your way. The science behind emotional intelligence. The concept of emotional intelligence has been around for a while, but it gained serious traction in the scientific community thanks to research and studies. One vital piece of research in this area came from Peter Salovey and John D. Mayer, who first coined the term emotional intelligence in 1990. They described it as the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions, while also being able to recognize, understand, and influence the emotions of others. It wasn't just a fancy new term. Their study laid the foundation for how emotional intelligence can be measured and even improved. Fast forward to the mid-90s, and you have Daniel Goleman publishing his groundbreaking book, Emotional Intelligence: Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. Backed by strong empirical data, Goleman argued that emotional intelligence could be a more significant predictor of success than the traditional IQ metrics we had relied on for so long. He drew on various longitudinal studies and anecdotal evidence to show that emotionally intelligent individuals tended to have better personal and professional outcomes. Imagine a talented doctor who can make accurate diagnoses, but struggles to convey empathy to patients. That's where emotional intelligence steps in, elevating competence with human connection. Let's delve into what happens inside our brains when it comes to emotional intelligence. At the core are two critical regions, the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. The amygdala is the emotional epicenter, rapidly processing emotions like fear and pleasure. It's like the emotional first responder. Then there's the prefrontal cortex, which is involved in planning complex cognitive behavior, personality expression, decision-making, and moderating social behavior. It acts as a regulator, helping you assess situations and weigh consequences before you act. Effective emotional intelligence involves a harmonious collaboration between these regions. You've probably experienced moments when your emotions get the better of you, like when stress makes you snap at a loved one. That's your amygdala hijacking your brain. Thankfully, we can train our prefrontal cortex to manage these emotional impulses better. Practices like mindfulness meditation, deep breathing exercises, and even regular physical activity can increase your brain's capacity for emotional regulation. Starting with self-awareness is often the best approach. Understanding what triggers your emotional responses helps you navigate them more effectively. Perhaps you've noticed that a critical comment at work sets you off. The trick is to recognize that surge of irritation, pause, and then decide how you want to respond. This not only benefits your mental well-being, but also enhances your relationships and professional interactions. If you want a practical tip to boost your emotional intelligence, try to actively listen during conversations. Pay attention not just to the words, but also to the emotions behind them. By tuning into these emotional cues, you can respond more empathetically and build stronger connections with those around you. The spiritual aspect of emotional intelligence. If you've ever found yourself deeply moved by a soulful piece of music or a heartfelt story, you've tapped into the profound connection between emotional intelligence and spiritual growth. This connection isn't just about feeling good, it's about understanding and nurturing the essence of who we are. Our emotions are like messengers, carrying information about our inner world. By learning to decipher these messages, we come to understand ourselves more fully, allowing us to grow spiritually. Consider the times when you've felt deep empathy for someone's pain or shared in someone else's joy. These moments are windows into our emotional intelligence and spirituality coalescing. Empathy, a key component of emotional intelligence, allows us to connect with others on a spiritual level, recognizing the shared humanity that binds us. Spiritual growth, in this context, is about expanding our ability to connect, not only with others, but also with our own deeper self. Spiritual practices and philosophies offer powerful tools to enhance emotional intelligence. Meditation, for instance, cultivates mindfulness, enabling us to observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment. This practice helps us understand our emotional responses and manage them effectively. Similarly, practices like yoga or Tai Chi not only improve physical well-being, but also foster emotional balance and inner peace. These practices teach us to stay centered and present, helping us respond rather than react to emotional triggers. Another spiritual philosophy that enhances emotional intelligence is the principle of compassion. Compassion starts with self-compassion, acknowledging our imperfections without self-criticism. When we are kind to ourselves, we can genuinely extend that kindness to others. This aligns closely with the emotional intelligence skill of self-regulation, enabling us to handle stress and interact harmoniously with others. As you continue your journey, consider integrating practices like journaling or spending time in nature. Writing down your thoughts and feelings can provide clarity and insight, helping you track your emotional patterns and understand their spiritual significance. Nature has a way of grounding us and reminding us of the interconnectedness of all life. By immersing ourselves in natural surroundings, we often find a sense of peace and perspective that nurtures both emotional intelligence and spiritual well-being. Chapter 2: The Importance of Emotional Intelligence. Emotional intelligence in relationships. Understanding how emotional intelligence impacts communication, empathy, and conflict resolution in relationships can truly transform the way you connect with others. Imagine a time when you felt genuinely heard during a conversation. There was likely a sense of mutual respect and understanding that sprinkled some magic into that interaction. This, my friend, is the power of emotional intelligence at play. When we develop our ability to recognize, understand, and manage our emotions, and those of others, we lay the groundwork for more meaningful connections. By being emotionally intelligent, you're not just decoding words, you're tuning into feelings, expressions, and the unsaid nuances that lurk between lines. Empathy is another beautiful facet of this gem called emotional intelligence. Think about a scenario when someone truly put themselves in your shoes. That feeling of being genuinely understood can create a bond that's both deep and enriching. Science backs this up too. Empathic connections tend to release oxytocin, often dubbed the love hormone, fostering trust and intimacy. Spiritually, empathy aligns with the age-old wisdom of compassion, teaching us to extend our kindness beyond our own selves. This harmonious blend of scientific and spiritual insights in practicing empathy can greatly enhance your relationships. Conflict resolution is where emotional intelligence can bring the most tangible benefits. Picture a heated argument where both parties end up feeling more frustrated than before. Now, imagine giving emotions their due acknowledgement, addressing both your feelings and the other person's. When you approach conflict with self-awareness and empathy, the narrative swiftly changes from adversarial to collaborative. This isn't about winning or losing, but about finding a pathway where both can walk together peacefully. By learning to manage and resolve conflicts through emotional intelligence, you can save relationships from crumbling under the weight of misunderstandings. Exploring strategies for building and maintaining healthy and fulfilling relationships using emotional intelligence is like planting a seed that promises to grow into a lush garden of connections. Begin with self-awareness. Recognize your emotional triggers and patterns. Personal anecdotes play a substantial role here. I once had a friend who would shut down at any sign of disagreement. Through practicing emotional intelligence, he began identifying his own triggers, which stemmed from a deep-seated fear of rejection. This self-awareness allowed him to communicate better and not perceive every disagreement as a personal attack. Another powerful strategy is active listening. It might sound simple, but real listening involves being present, not planning your next response while the other person speaks. This kind of listening can be profoundly healing and is the bedrock on which trust is built. A spiritually inclined perspective finds resonance here too, as it teaches us to give everyone their thoughts, their feelings, their due space in our world. Cultivating empathy can be as simple as practicing gratitude and self-compassion. When you're kinder to yourself, it becomes naturally easier to extend that kindness to others. Practicing gratitude can shift your focus from what's missing to what's present, enhancing your emotional landscape and your relationships. Establishing a regular practice where you reflect on your interactions can help too. Before going to bed, think of a conversation where you felt a twinge of discomfort. Analyze it, but also approach it with a lens of empathy and understanding, not just for the other person, but for yourself as well. Ultimately, the true essence of emotional intelligence in relationships is about continuous growth and mutual respect. By integrating emotional insights with compassion, you're not just enriching your life, but sowing seeds of connectedness and peace in the lives of those you interact with. The more we invest in understanding and managing our emotions, the more fulfilling our relationships become. Embrace this journey of emotional intelligence, and watch as your interactions blossom into meaningful, resilient connections. Emotional intelligence in the workplace. Emotional intelligence plays a pivotal role in professional success and leadership. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to navigate workplace challenges with ease, while others struggle? This often comes down to emotional intelligence, or EQ. Unlike IQ, which measures intellectual capabilities, EQ taps into our ability to understand and manage emotions, both ours and those of others. If you've ever worked with a manager who could defuse a tense situation with grace or a colleague who could rally the team towards a common goal, you've likely witnessed emotional intelligence in action. Research shows that EQ is a critical factor in leadership effectiveness, more so than technical skills or traditional intelligence. Think about a leader you admire. Chances are, they possess a keen sense of self-awareness, empathy, and social skills that enable them to connect with diverse individuals and motivate them to achieve common objectives. Developing emotional intelligence skills is essential for effective collaboration, decision-making, and stress management at work. It's one thing to recognize the importance of EQ, but another to develop it. Start by enhancing your self-awareness. Regularly take a step back and reflect on your emotions. How do they impact your behavior and interactions with colleagues? Journaling can be a powerful tool here. It helps you track patterns and identify triggers. For instance, you might notice that tight deadlines make you irritable, which affects your communication. Understanding this allows you to preemptively manage your stress and approach deadlines proactively. Empathy, another key component of EQ, can be cultivated through active listening. Next time a coworker shares something with you, truly listen without planning your response. Validate their feelings and try to see the situation from their perspective. Effective decision-making often hinges on our emotional state. If you've ever made a hasty decision in the heat of the moment, you know emotions can cloud judgment. By developing emotional regulation skills, like deep breathing or mindfulness, you can maintain composure and think more clearly under pressure. Lastly, let's talk about stress management. Workplace stress is inevitable, but how we respond to it makes all the difference. Emotional intelligence equips you with tools to handle stress constructively. Practices like meditation, seeking social support, or simply taking a walk can significantly impact your stress levels and overall well-being. Remember, developing these skills takes time and conscious effort, but the rewards are well worth it. Emotional intelligence in self-development. Understanding the connection between emotional intelligence and personal growth is like unlocking a treasure chest within yourself. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, is essentially about being smart with your feelings. It involves recognizing your emotions, managing them effectively, and understanding the emotions of others. Personal growth, on the other hand, is the ongoing process of becoming a better version of yourself. When these two concepts intertwine, magic happens. By enhancing your EQ, you're not just working on your emotional health, but also paving the way for significant personal development. Imagine you're at work, and a colleague's behavior irritates you. Instead of lashing out, you take a moment to assess your feelings. This pause allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Here, emotional intelligence helps in self-regulation, a key component of personal growth. The ability to control your emotional responses can lead to better decision-making and improved relationships, both professionally and personally. When you start recognizing what triggers certain emotions, you gain insight into areas that need growth, making your journey to self-improvement more targeted and effective. Exploring strategies for self-awareness, self-regulation, and self-compassion is akin to nurturing a garden. Each strategy is a seed that, when watered with consistent practice, grows into a flourishing aspect of your well-being. Self-awareness involves understanding your strengths, weaknesses, values, and beliefs. It's the mirror through which you see your true self. Practicing mindfulness can significantly boost self-awareness. Take a few minutes each day to sit quietly and observe your thoughts. Over time, this practice helps you become more attuned to your emotions and reactions. Self-regulation is the next step. It's about managing your emotions, especially in stressful situations. Establishing a routine that includes techniques like deep breathing, meditation, or even journaling can help maintain emotional balance. For instance, writing about your day before you sleep can help you process emotions, reducing overall stress levels and helping you wake up refreshed and more in control. Then there's self-compassion, which is about treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer to a friend. It's easy to be hard on yourself when things don't go as planned. But remember, we're all human and prone to mistakes. When you encounter setbacks, practice self-compassion by reminding yourself that it's okay to fail and that each misstep is a learning opportunity. Tell yourself what you might tell a friend, that it's okay, you've done your best, and you'll learn and grow from this experience. Balance self-awareness, self-regulation, and self-compassion by integrating them into your daily routine. Start your day with positive affirmations to set the tone. Throughout the day, pause to check in with yourself, acknowledging your feelings without judgment. End your day with reflections on what went well and what didn't, forgiving yourself for any mistakes and celebrating your successes. This ongoing practice not only enhances your emotional intelligence, but also contributes significantly to your personal growth and overall well-being. Chapter 3. Developing Emotional Awareness. Recognizing and understanding emotions. Emotions are like the colors on an artist's palette, creating the vibrant yet complex picture of our inner world. When we learn how to identify these emotions, we gain more control over our thoughts, behaviors, and relationships. Imagine walking into a room filled with people speaking different languages. You'd feel lost trying to communicate. Emotions work similarly. They're the languages of our internal world. If you don't understand them, navigating through life's ups and downs can feel chaotic. Take a moment to reflect on a recent situation where you felt a strong emotion. You might think back to getting upset with a friend or feeling joy while watching your favorite movie. Those emotions influenced your behavior and thoughts. Anger might have made you say things you regretted, while joy likely left you feeling uplifted and more open to connecting with others. Emotions are powerful. They can either bind us closer to others or create distance. Scientific studies show that being aware of your emotions can improve decision-making and foster better relationships. On a spiritual level, tuning into your emotions can be a path to greater self-awareness and inner peace. Identifying emotions begins with awareness. It's like learning to listen to a complex symphony instead of hearing just noise. A helpful technique is to check in with yourself at different points during the day. Ask yourself simple questions like, what am I feeling right now? At first, it may be challenging, but over time you'll become more attuned to the nuances of your emotional landscape. Labeling those emotions is the next step. Instead of saying I'm feeling bad, try to pinpoint whether it's sadness, frustration, or anxiety. Labeling emotions accurately can diffuse their intensity and provide clarity. Journaling can be a powerful tool in this process. Spend a few minutes each day jotting down your feelings and the events that triggered them. Over time, patterns will emerge, making it easier to predict and manage your emotional responses. Remember, it's normal to experience a wide range of emotions, and no emotion is inherently good or bad. Each has valuable information to offer. Mindfulness practices, such as meditation, can also enhance your ability to recognize and label emotions. When you meditate, you train your mind to observe without judgment. This skill can transfer to daily life, allowing you to approach your emotions with curiosity rather than fear or avoidance. Scientific research supports the benefits of mindfulness, highlighting its positive impact on emotional regulation and mental well-being. As you embark on this journey of understanding your emotions, practice kindness toward yourself. Emotions can be messy and complicated, but each step you take toward recognizing and understanding them is a step toward a fuller, more vibrant life. It's not about achieving emotional perfection, but about cultivating a deeper connection with yourself. This compassionate self-awareness can ripple out into your relationships, enriching your interactions with others. Processing emotions in a healthy way. When it comes to managing emotions, everyone has their own way of dealing with stress and anxiety. But finding healthy coping mechanisms can make the process smoother and more beneficial in the long run. It's like how my grandmother used to knit. Every time she felt overwhelmed, she'd pick up her knitting needles and let the repetitive, soothing motions calm her mind. This simple yet effective method forms a cornerstone for emotional balance. Scientific studies support this. Activities that engage your hands in rhythmic work, such as knitting or painting, have been shown to lower blood pressure and reduce levels of stress hormones. Another method that's both scientifically backed and spiritually uplifting is practicing mindfulness. This doesn't mean you need to sit cross-legged under a tree and chant, though if that works for you, go for it. Mindfulness can be as simple as paying attention to your breath for a few minutes or taking a slow, deliberate walk. These activities help ground you in the present moment, reducing worries about the future or regrets about the past. Mindfulness has been shown to rewire the brain, enhancing your emotional regulation and resilience over time. Understanding the importance of emotional expression and release is equally crucial to maintaining emotional well-being. Bottling up feelings can be akin to shaking a soda can. Sooner or later, it's going to explode. One story that comes to mind is about a friend who went through a difficult breakup. Instead of talking about her feelings, she kept everything inside, which led to severe anxiety and even physical symptoms like headaches and fatigue. Eventually, she found relief through journaling. Pouring her thoughts and emotions onto paper allowed her to process her feelings in a safe, private space. Writing can offer a release that words sometimes can't capture, and it's a simple, low-cost method to unburden your mind. A more social form of emotional release is seeking support from friends or a therapist. Reaching out and sharing your experiences with others can often bring a sense of relief and validation. These conversations build emotional bonds, fostering a sense of community and belonging. There is a spiritual aspect to this as well. Many religious and spiritual practices emphasize the importance of fellowship and compassion. By sharing your burdens and helping others with theirs, you contribute to a cycle of support that uplifts everyone involved. One practical tip to start implementing these ideas today: commit to a small, manageable daily habit that encourages emotional health. Whether it's a 5-minute breathing exercise, jotting down your thoughts in a journal at the end of the day, or making a weekly call to a supportive friend, these simple steps can make a significant difference over time. Aim to build these activities into your routine, turning them into consistent practices for emotional well-being. Cultivating empathy and compassion. Empathy is a skill that we can nurture to understand and connect with others. Imagine a time when a friend shared a personal struggle, and you felt their pain as if it were your own. This act of genuinely placing yourself in another's shoes can transform relationships. Science backs this up. Neuroscientists have discovered mirror neurons in our brains that allow us to reflect the emotions of those around us. These neurons help us experience a fraction of what others feel, allowing for deeper connection and understanding. A practice that has significantly helped me develop empathy is mindful listening. Rather than planning my next response while someone is speaking, I focus fully on their words and emotions. This practice not only honors the speaker, but also creates a meaningful bond. Additionally, considering the joys and tribulations others face each day can help bridge the gap between us. Spiritual traditions, from Christian teachings of love thy neighbor to Buddhist principles of loving-kindness, emphasize empathy as a path to peace and connection. Equally important is extending empathy inward through self-compassion. We often criticize ourselves more harshly than we would others. Imagine speaking to yourself as you would a dear friend, offering words of encouragement during tough times. This shift in perspective can lighten emotional burdens and foster internal strength. Furthermore, Dr. Kristin Neff, a leading researcher in self-compassion, suggests that by acknowledging our own suffering with kindness, we're better equipped to extend genuine compassion to others. Embracing compassion in daily life can start with small acts of kindness. A simple smile, a compliment, or an act of help can ripple out, affecting more people than we might ever know. This not only uplifts others, but also cultivates a sense of community and mutual respect. Reflecting on the interconnectedness of all beings, as emphasized in spiritual teachings, can serve as a reminder to treat others with kindness and consideration. Incorporating daily compassionate practices can gradually transform your interaction with the world. Try setting an intention each morning to perform one act of kindness. This could be as simple as holding the door open for someone or sending a supportive message to a friend. The effort you make, no matter how small, contributes to a more compassionate and empathetic society. Chapter 4. Managing Emotions Effectively. Emotional Regulation Techniques. Learning effective strategies to regulate and control intense emotions can transform our daily lives, offering a smoother path through both minor annoyances and major upheavals. Imagine standing in a kitchen with a burnt dinner on the stove after a long day at work. The frustration and disappointment swell, but instead of spiraling into anger, you take a deep breath, focus your mind on a calming image, and suddenly what felt like a catastrophe is now a manageable headache. This practice, known as mindfulness, has roots in both ancient meditation practices and modern psychological research. It's about being present in the moment without judgment, allowing you to observe your emotions rather than be overwhelmed by them. Practicing emotion management techniques for emotional balance and well-being involves integrating various methods into daily routines. One powerful technique is deep breathing. When emotions run high, our breathing becomes shallow, further fueling anxiety and stress. Slow, deep breaths signal the body to relax, effectively reducing the physical sensation of stress. A friend of mine swears by the 4-7-8 technique. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, and exhale for 8. It's simple, discreet, and works wonders even in high-pressure environments like boardrooms or social gatherings. Equally vital is the concept of cognitive reappraisal, or reframing. It's the mental equivalent of turning lemons into lemonade. Say your significant other was snippy with you this morning. Instead of brooding over feelings of hurt and rejection, consider they might be stressed from work pressures. This shift in perspective doesn't excuse poor behavior, but helps you empathize and stay calm, opening a productive path to resolve underlying issues compassionately. Spiritual teachings often emphasize the importance of perspective and forgiveness, ideas echoed in psychological studies, showcasing improved emotional resilience through these practices. A practical tip to end with: establish a daily emotional check-in routine. Just like you might schedule exercise for maintaining physical health, set aside time, maybe during a morning coffee or evening reflection, to assess how you're feeling and why. Are there recurring sources of stress or joy? Acknowledging these patterns enables better preparation and proactive management of emotions, fostering a balanced, fulfilling life. Stress management strategies. Exploring stress reduction techniques is often like finding the right recipe for your favorite meal. There's a pinch of deep breathing, a dollop of physical exercise, and a sprinkle of mindfulness practices. One cannot underestimate the power of mindful breathing. It sounds so simple, but taking slow, deep breaths can engage the parasympathetic nervous system, reducing the fight or flight response stress triggers. Consider the moments when life feels overwhelming, whether it's a work deadline or an unexpected expense. Pausing to focus on your breath can anchor you to the present moment, creating a small but powerful buffer against stress. Physical exercise is another reliable technique. When I started running, I noticed not just the obvious physical benefits, but also how it became a mental release. During runs, my mind would wander, my worries seemed to pace themselves out, and ideas floated freely. Exercise releases endorphins, our body's natural mood lifters, which is why many experts recommend integrating physical activities into your daily routines. And it doesn't have to be running, it can be yoga, dancing, or even a brisk walk in the park. Combining these techniques with practices like mindful meditation can be transformative. It's fascinating how much scientific backing there is for meditation. Studies have recorded its impact on reducing cortisol levels, our primary stress hormone. But beyond the science, there's a spiritual element to meditation. It connects us with a deeper sense of self, offering clarity and peace. Imagine starting your day with a few moments of stillness, grounding yourself before the world greets you with its noise. Developing coping mechanisms for stress management is like building an emotional toolkit. Start by identifying your stress triggers and then determine which strategies best diffuse them. Journaling can be incredibly useful here. I remember feeling overwhelmed by a project at work, so I began noting what specifically stressed me. Was it the tight deadlines or the fear of failure? Journaling provided insights and a sense of control, turning vague anxieties into tangible challenges I could address. Another practice is reframing your thoughts. Cognitive behavioral strategies suggest that our perception often dictates our experience. For instance, if a traffic jam makes you late, instead of spiraling into anger, think of it as extra time to listen to a favorite podcast or practice breathing exercises. It's about changing the narrative we tell ourselves. Social connections and support systems are also crucial. Don't underestimate the power of a heartfelt conversation with a friend or the comfort of a supportive family member. Science shows that social bonding releases oxytocin, countering stress effects. Personally, I found solace in sharing burdens with people I trust, rediscovering that we are not meant to go through life's challenges alone. To manage stress effectively and prevent emotional overwhelm, you need to build resilience. Consider small, consistent habits that nourish your mind and body. Incorporate healthy eating, ensure ample sleep, and schedule breaks during work. These foundational practices create a buffer against stress, much like a well-maintained dam holds back a river. I've found that gratitude exercises can also significantly reduce stress. Everyday issues seem much smaller when we practice gratitude. Try writing down 3 things you're grateful for each day. This simple act shifts your focus from what's going wrong to what's going right, bringing a sense of emotional balance. As a practical tip for navigating stress management, always carry a mental or physical list of grounding techniques, things you can do immediately when stress strikes. It might include deep breaths, a quick walk, or even visualizing a calming place. Having these go-to strategies ensures you're prepared for stress before it becomes overwhelming. Mindfulness and emotional balance. Understanding the role of mindfulness in cultivating emotional balance and well-being begins with recognizing that mindfulness is not just about sitting in silence or focusing on your breath. It's about being fully present and engaged with whatever you're doing, without getting overwhelmed by day-to-day stresses or caught up in the chaos of your thoughts. I remember a time when I was grappling with a stressful project at work, my mind racing with deadlines and expectations. It was a mindfulness exercise that helped me refocus and see things from a more balanced perspective. Research has shown that mindfulness practices can alter the brain's structure and function, particularly in areas related to emotional regulation. For instance, studies indicate that regular mindfulness practice can reduce activity in the amygdala, the part of the brain associated with stress and anxiety, and enhance the functioning of the prefrontal cortex, which is involved in decision-making and self-control. Practicing mindfulness techniques to increase awareness and regulate emotions can be a game-changer for everyone. One simple yet effective technique is deep breathing. I like to call it the 3-minute breath break. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, take a moment to focus on your breath, taking deep, slow breaths in and out. This can help calm the nervous system and bring you back to the present moment. Another technique is body scanning, where you pay close attention to different parts of your body, noticing any tension and letting it go. This technique can help you become more aware of physical sensations associated with emotions, making it easier to recognize when you're feeling stressed or anxious. Combining these practices with regular meditation can lead to greater emotional resilience. Imagine it as training your mind to respond rather than react, allowing you to handle life's ups and downs with more grace and less turmoil. A practical tip to integrate mindfulness into your daily routine is starting your morning with a short mindfulness meditation. Set aside just 5 to 10 minutes to sit quietly and observe your thoughts, letting them pass without judgment. This small investment of time can set a positive tone for your day, helping you navigate challenges with a clearer mind and a calmer demeanor. Mindfulness is not about eliminating thoughts or emotions, but about creating a balanced space where they don't control you. By making mindfulness a regular part of your life, you'll find that emotional balance and well-being become more accessible, leading to a richer and more fulfilling experience. Chapter 5: Building Stronger Relationships. Effective Communication and Active Listening. Developing effective communication skills is like crafting a beautiful piece of art. It requires patience, practice, and a deep understanding of the materials at your disposal. Imagine you're trying to connect with a friend or a loved one, but find that your messages aren't hitting the mark. It can be frustrating, can't it? Communication isn't just about talking. It's about creating a bridge of understanding between you and the other person. Remember a time when you felt truly heard by someone. That feeling of connection and validation didn't come from words alone, but also from the presence and intention behind them. Science backs this up, showing that nonverbal cues, like body language and eye contact, play a significant role in effective communication. On a spiritual level, being present and mindful during conversations allows us to connect more deeply, fostering trust and intimacy. So, while mastering the art of clear and concise speech is important, don't forget the power of empathetic listening and genuine engagement. Practicing active listening can transform your relationships. Think about the last time you felt completely ignored. It stings, right? Active listening is the antidote to that pain. It's about being fully engaged in the moment, listening to understand rather than to respond. Picture yourself in a conversation where the other person nods, paraphrases your points, and asks questions that reflect genuine curiosity. Feels good, doesn't it? You can offer that same warmth and understanding. Science suggests that active listening improves relationships by making individuals feel valued and understood. Spiritually, it's an act of love and compassion, showing that you value the other person's experiences and emotions. Practice this by maintaining eye contact, avoiding interrupting, and reflecting on what the person is saying. Try to put yourself in their shoes. It's a simple yet powerful move that can lead to profound connections. Next time you find yourself in a conversation, make a conscious effort to truly listen and be present. It might surprise you how much deeper your interactions become and how positively people respond to you. Start small, practice with friends or family. Focus on their words, observe their body language, and show that you're genuinely interested. You'll not only enhance your relationships, but also grow as a more compassionate and insightful person. Resolving conflict with emotional intelligence. Imagine a heated argument with a close friend. Voices are raised, emotions run high, and misunderstandings pile up. It's a painful experience that leaves you both feeling drained. Now, picture the same scenario, but with a different approach. Instead of letting emotions escalate, you pause and take a deep breath. You remember that emotional intelligence isn't just a buzzword. It's a set of practical tools you can use right now. This pause gives you the space to recognize your own emotions and those of your friend. It allows you to step into their shoes and see the situation from their point of view. Applying emotional intelligence in conflicts starts with self-awareness. This means being mindful of your own emotional state and triggers. It's like having a map to navigate your own emotional landscape. For instance, if you notice you're getting defensive, that's a signal to check in with yourself before responding. Next, there is self-regulation. It's the art of managing your emotional responses in a way that doesn't escalate the conflict. It's not about suppressing feelings, but channeling them constructively. For example, instead of shouting, you might calmly express your concerns. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another, is the cornerstone of emotional intelligence in conflict resolution. It transforms an argument into a dialogue. Listening with empathy can uncover the underlying issues and show your friend that you genuinely care about their perspective. This alone can diffuse tension and pave the way for a more meaningful conversation. Developing conflict resolution strategies that prioritize emotions and preserve relationships involves a blend of emotional intelligence and practical techniques. Start with active listening. This means giving the other person your full attention, without interrupting or planning your rebuttal. It sounds simple, but it's incredibly powerful. By truly hearing what they have to say, you validate their feelings and show respect. Another strategy is to use I statements instead of you statements. For example, saying "I feel hurt when our plans change last minute" is less accusatory and more about sharing your own experience, which makes the conversation less confrontational. Finally, finding common ground, even in the midst of a disagreement, can help maintain the relationship. It's about shifting the focus from what divides you to what unites you. Maybe you both want the best for each other, but have different ideas on how to achieve it. Highlighting shared goals can bridge the gap and foster a collaborative spirit. Emotional intelligence doesn't just resolve conflicts, it enhances all areas of life. It's like a muscle that gets stronger with use. The more you practice, the better you become at navigating your emotions and those of others. In your next conflict, try pausing, listening actively, and using I statements. You might be surprised at how much smoother the conversation flows. Sometimes, all it takes is a little empathy and understanding to turn a potential argument into an opportunity for deeper connection and growth. Fostering trust and connection. Emotional intelligence plays a pivotal role in building trust and fostering deeper connections. Imagine a time when you felt deeply understood by someone. That person likely exhibited a high degree of emotional intelligence. They were able to tune into your emotions, validate your feelings, and respond empathetically. This creates a sense of safety and trust, essential components for deepening any relationship. Scientific studies have shown that emotional intelligence goes beyond just recognizing one's own emotions. It involves understanding and managing the emotions of others. This skill helps in anticipating needs, reducing conflicts, and enhancing communication. On a spiritual level, emotional intelligence aligns with practices that emphasize compassion, understanding, and the interconnectedness of human experiences. If you're aiming to create a safe and supportive environment in relationships, it starts with setting clear intentions. Being mindful and present in your interactions can make a significant difference. Share personal stories and encourage openness by demonstrating vulnerability yourself. This act of sharing can break down walls and foster a space where honesty and authenticity thrive. Additionally, practicing active listening without judgment builds a foundation of trust. When the other person feels heard and valued, they are more likely to reciprocate those feelings, creating a cycle of mutual respect and understanding. Incorporating spiritual wisdom, such as mindfulness and compassionate communication, further strengthens these bonds and nurtures a supportive atmosphere. One practical tip to enhance emotional intelligence is to regularly check in with your own emotional state. Awareness of your feelings allows you to manage them better and respond to others more thoughtfully. Journaling can be a powerful tool for this purpose, offering a space to reflect on your emotional experiences and growth. By becoming more emotionally aware, you are better equipped to navigate the complexities of relationships, ultimately fostering deeper connections and building lasting trust. Chapter 6: Empathy and Understanding Others. Empathizing with different perspectives. Developing the ability to understand and empathize with diverse perspectives often starts with a willingness to listen and an openness to learn. It reminds me of a time when I traveled to another country, known for its completely different cultural norms. This exposure taught me to see the world through a lens vastly different from my own. Humans naturally gravitate towards what feels comfortable and familiar, but stepping out of our comfort zones can be surprisingly enlightening. Scientific research supports this idea. Studies show that exposure to different cultures increases cognitive flexibility and broadens one's perspective. On a spiritual level, many traditions emphasize compassion as a path to understanding. For instance, in Buddhism, the concept of mudita, or sympathetic joy, encourages us to feel happiness for others, fostering a deeper connection. Enhancing empathy skills to promote inclusivity and tolerance is more than just a noble goal. It's a necessary step in creating a harmonious society. Think about your everyday interactions, whether they are with colleagues, family, or strangers. Bringing empathy into these moments can transform relationships and environments. Psychologists suggest that practicing active listening can significantly boost empathy. This means really hearing what someone has to say without planning your response while they're speaking. You can try this right now by engaging with a friend or family member and genuinely making an effort to listen and understand their perspective. Spiritually, many people find that meditative practices, like reflecting on compassion, help in nurturing this aspect of our being. As we become more in tune with our own feelings, we naturally become more sensitive to the emotions and experiences of others. Inclusivity and tolerance are not just buzzwords, but crucial pillars for a cooperative and thriving community. Every time you make an effort to understand someone's perspective, you're contributing to a more inclusive world. It's like adding brushstrokes to a larger, vibrant canvas that depicts the rich diversity of human experience. The next time you encounter a perspective that's different from your own, try to approach it with curiosity rather than judgment. Remember, every viewpoint has its own merit and can offer you a new understanding. This attitude not only benefits interpersonal relationships, but also promotes a collective sense of unity and acceptance, essential for the progress and well-being of society. Cultivating emotional intelligence in parenting. Emotional intelligence, EI, often known as the ability to perceive, understand, and manage emotions, plays a crucial role in effective parenting. Imagine a mother who remains calm even when her toddler throws a tantrum. Instead of reacting with frustration, she empathizes and acknowledges her child's feelings, helping the little one navigate their emotions. This empathy not only diffuses the immediate tension, but also teaches the child the importance of emotional regulation. Science backs this up. Research indicates that children with emotionally intelligent parents tend to have better social skills, higher emotional regulation, and even improved academic performance. When parents understand and model EI, they create a supportive environment where children feel valued and understood. Developing emotional intelligence strategies to foster healthy parent-child relationships involves some intentional practices. One effective strategy is active listening. Picture a dad sitting down with his teenage daughter after she had a rough day at school. Instead of jumping to give advice, he listens attentively, nodding and acknowledging her feelings. This simple act of being present and validating her emotions strengthens their bond. Incorporating mindfulness practices can also be transformative. Let's say a parent practices deep breathing or meditation. They are not only promoting their own emotional well-being, but also setting a positive example for their children. Spiritual traditions often emphasize the power of being present and empathetic, aligning perfectly with modern EI practices. Integrating these approaches helps in modeling the very behaviors we wish to instill in our children, making them feel seen, heard, and deeply connected to us. As you continue on this journey of cultivating emotional intelligence in parenting, remember that it's a process that involves continuous learning and practice. Start small by implementing these strategies in daily interactions, and over time, you'll likely notice positive changes in your family's emotional dynamics. For instance, next time your child confides in you or expresses frustration, try to listen without interrupting and reflect their feelings back to them. This not only validates their experience, but also fosters a deeper trust and open communication. By consistently applying these practices, you create a nurturing environment where emotional growth and understanding naturally flourish. Supporting others through emotional challenges. Learning how to offer support and empathy to others during difficult emotional times is a skill that can deeply enhance our relationships and foster a sense of community. Imagine a time when a friend confided in you about a personal struggle. You may have felt a mix of concern and uncertainty about how best to help. Empathy begins with active listening, truly hearing what the other person is saying without immediately jumping in with solutions or judgments. According to neuroscientific research, our brains have mirror neurons that enable us to experience a sense of what others are going through. This connection is the foundation of empathy. On a spiritual level, offering empathy means creating a sacred space where the other person feels seen and validated. By just being present and attentive, we let them know they are not alone in their journey. Developing strategies for holding space and providing emotional support involves a delicate balance of being there for someone, while not overwhelming them with our own emotions or advice. Holding space means being fully there with acceptance and compassion. Think of it like being a vessel. You need to make room for the other person's feelings without having to fill that space with your narrative. One effective strategy is to simply ask, "How can I support you right now?" This shifts the focus back to the person in need and empowers them to guide the kind of support they wish to receive. Scientifically, this approach can lower their stress levels, as it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, promoting relaxation and safety. From a spiritual perspective, this act of selflessness can bring a sense of peace and fulfillment, knowing you are making a meaningful impact in someone else's life. Practicing mindfulness can further help you stay grounded, ensuring your empathy is genuine and your support is unwavering. Chapter 7: Emotional Intelligence and Leadership. Leading with empathy and authenticity. In today's fast-paced world, leadership isn't just about making quick decisions or managing tasks efficiently. It's about connecting with people on a deeper level, and that's where emotional intelligence comes into play. Emotional intelligence, or EI, allows leaders to understand and manage not only their own emotions, but also those of their team members. This heightened awareness fosters better communication, stronger relationships, and an overall more harmonious work environment. Think of a time when a manager took the time to listen to your concerns without judgment. That simple act of empathy probably made you feel valued and understood, bolstering your trust and respect for that leader. Developing leadership skills that prioritize empathy, authenticity, and emotional connection can seem challenging at first, especially if you're used to a more traditional, transactional style of management. However, by focusing on these qualities, you can create a more inclusive and engaging workplace. Empathy enables you to understand the perspectives of your team members, helping you to address issues more effectively and build stronger rapport. Authenticity involves being genuine and transparent, which encourages your team to do the same. This openness creates a supportive environment where everyone feels comfortable sharing ideas and concerns. One way to cultivate these skills is through active listening. When a team member speaks, give them your full attention without interrupting or thinking about your response. Reflect on what they're saying and acknowledge their feelings, even if you don't agree. This simple practice can transform your interactions and demonstrate that you truly care about their input. Another important aspect is self-awareness. Being mindful of your own emotions and how they influence your behavior can help you respond more thoughtfully in various situations. Finally, don't underestimate the power of regular, genuine feedback. Recognize and celebrate your team's successes, and provide constructive feedback in a way that empowers rather than deflates them. Emotional intelligence in decision-making. Emotional intelligence, often abbreviated as EI, is more than just a buzzword. It's a profound understanding of one's own emotions and those of others, which plays a crucial role in making sound and ethical decisions. Picture this: you're faced with a tough choice at work, maybe a decision that affects your team. Your initial reaction might be to push through with what's easiest or what benefits you the most. However, when you tap into your emotional intelligence, you start to consider how your decision impacts others. You recognize the stress on your colleagues, the ripple effects on team morale, and the potential ethical dilemmas. One personal anecdote comes to mind. I was once part of a project team that was stuck in a dilemma. We had to choose between two vendors. One vendor offered a lower price but had questionable labor practices, while the other was more expensive but aligned with our company's ethical standards. Listening to our gut instincts, to our emotional intelligence, guided us to make a more ethical decision. We chose the more expensive vendor, valuing fairness and integrity over short-term savings. Emotional intelligence doesn't just involve recognizing and managing our own emotions, but also empathizing with others. This empathy can transform decision-making processes by highlighting perspectives we might otherwise overlook. It's like having an internal compass that keeps us aligned with our highest values and principles, ensuring we don't get lost in the pressures and complexities of the moment. So, how can you develop decision-making frameworks that seamlessly integrate emotional intelligence? It begins with self-awareness. Regularly tune into your emotions and understand their origins. Are you feeling anxious or stressed? How might these emotions be clouding your judgment? Next, embrace empathy. Actively listen to others, seek to understand their concerns and viewpoints, and let their feelings inform your decisions. One practical approach is to practice mindfulness. Take a moment to pause and breathe before making decisions, giving yourself the space to engage your emotional intelligence fully. Consider the story of Sarah, a manager who faced a tough call about downsizing her team due to budget cuts. Instead of making a hasty decision, she spent time talking to her team members, understanding their fears and hopes. She used an empathetic, emotionally intelligent approach to devise a plan that minimized the impact and provided support for those affected. It wasn't just about numbers, it was about valuing people's feelings and dignity. Lastly, integrate emotional intelligence into your decision-making by continuously reflecting on your choices. Did your decision honor your core values? How did it affect others? Reflection helps you learn and grow, making you better equipped for future decisions. By weaving emotional intelligence into every step, you create a framework that not only leads to better decisions, but also fosters an environment of trust and respect. A practical tip: next time you're faced with a decision, ask yourself 3 questions. How do I feel about this? How will others feel? Does this align with our ethical standards? These questions can be a simple yet powerful tool to ensure emotional intelligence is at the forefront of your decision-making process. Creating a positive work environment. Creating a positive and supportive work environment revolves around emotional intelligence, a concept that integrates awareness of one's own emotions and the ability to perceive and influence the emotions of others. Imagine, for a moment, you're working on a team project. You notice a colleague is unusually quiet and withdrawn. With honed emotional intelligence, you might recognize signs of stress or fatigue and offer a kind word or a helping hand, subtly shifting the atmosphere from strained to supportive. This simple act can foster a sense of community and support that transforms the work environment. Dovetailing into the realm of spiritual insights, consider how mindfulness practices, like meditation or deep breathing exercises, can enhance emotional regulation. When we're attuned to our internal states, we're better equipped to handle external challenges. This means fewer knee-jerk reactions to stressful situations and more thoughtful, constructive responses. Such habits aren't just for individual wellness, they ripple outwards, influencing the entire team's emotional climate. Building teams and resolving conflicts are 2 sides of the same coin when it comes to nurturing emotional well-being. Think back to times you've been part of a high-functioning, cohesive team. What worked well? Chances are, open communication, mutual respect, and clear goals were part of the equation. Now, picture a moment when conflict erupted, heated words, perhaps, or silent resentment boiling under the surface. Effective conflict resolution begins with active listening and empathy, where every team member feels heard and valued. Personal anecdotes can be powerful too. I once worked with a team where 2 members had a long-standing feud. It was impacting productivity and morale. By facilitating a session where both parties could share their perspectives without interruptions, and guiding them towards a common goal, we were able to turn a toxic dynamic into a more empathetic and cooperative relationship. Science backs this up. Studies show that teams trained in emotional intelligence outperform others in both task completion and emotional well-being. Using these principles daily can revolutionize the work environment. Next time conflict arises or a team member appears distressed, pause. Engage with empathy. Offer support. Small acts of understanding and kindness not only soothe immediate tensions, but also build a foundation of trust that strengthens the team in the long run. By blending scientific insights with emotional intelligence and spiritual practices, you're embarking on a journey towards a more harmonious and productive workplace. Chapter 8: Self-Reflection and Personal Growth. Practicing self-compassion. When I first heard about self-compassion, it was from a friend who had just come back from a meditation retreat. She was glowing with a newfound sense of peace. She explained that self-compassion is about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding as you would offer to a good friend. Imagine you have a friend who is going through a tough time. Would you berate them for their mistakes or flaws? Of course not. You'd likely offer words of encouragement and support. This is the essence of self-compassion, and it's a powerful tool for personal growth. Self-compassion has significant benefits not just emotionally, but also mentally and physically. Research by Dr. Kristen Neff, a pioneer in the field, shows that self-compassion can lead to lower levels of anxiety and depression, improved resilience, and even better physical health. In a world where self-criticism is the norm, learning to be kind to oneself can be transformative. It helps create an internal environment where growth and healing can flourish. Beyond the scientific perspective, many spiritual traditions emphasize the importance of self-love and acceptance. From Buddhist teachings on loving-kindness to Christian doctrines of grace, the message is clear: compassion starts from within. Developing self-compassion practices requires effort and consistency, but it's entirely achievable. One approach is to start with mindful self-awareness. Pay attention to the way you talk to yourself, especially during challenging times. Are your thoughts harsh and judgmental? If so, gently redirect them to be more supportive. For example, instead of saying, "I'm so stupid for making that mistake," try, "Everyone makes mistakes. I can learn and grow from this." Another practice is to spend a few moments each day in self-compassionate meditation. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and breathe deeply. Imagine a warm, compassionate light surrounding you, filling you with a sense of peace and acceptance. Affirmations can also be powerful. Repeat positive statements like, "I am worthy of love and kindness," or "I forgive myself for my imperfections," to reinforce a compassionate mindset. Start small. Set aside a few minutes each day to practice self-compassion, whether through mindful awareness, meditation, or affirmations. Gradually, these practices will become second nature, and you'll find that self-acceptance and resilience grow stronger. Remember, self-compassion isn't about avoiding challenges or criticism. It's about approaching them from a place of kindness and understanding. This shift can be game-changing, offering a sturdy foundation from which to navigate life's ups and downs with grace and strength. Setting boundaries and assertiveness. One of the most vital aspects of emotional well-being is understanding the importance of setting boundaries. Without boundaries, we can often feel overwhelmed, taken advantage of, or perpetually stressed. It's like having an open-door policy for your emotional house, letting in anyone and anything. But imagine trying to live without locking your front door. It invites chaos, insecurity, and stress. Boundaries are necessary to create a safe space for ourselves. They define what is and isn't acceptable, not just for others, but for us too. Consider a time when you felt exhausted after a social event. Perhaps you stayed far longer than you wanted, or maybe the conversation drifted into areas you weren't comfortable with. This sense of exhaustion often stems from a lack of boundaries. By setting clear limits, you protect your energy and emotions. Research shows that maintaining boundaries significantly reduces stress and enhances mental health. Spiritually, boundaries are akin to creating sacred spaces. Just as we cherish a quiet corner for meditation, our boundaries help to preserve our inner peace. To develop these boundaries, one must cultivate assertiveness skills. Assertiveness is not about being aggressive or dominating a conversation. It's about clearly and respectfully communicating our needs, desires, and limits. It's an art of balancing honesty with politeness. For instance, instead of saying, "You never listen to me," an assertive approach would be, "I feel unheard when I'm interrupted. Can we try to listen to each other more closely?" This way, we express our needs without triggering defensiveness in the other person. Many people struggle with being assertive, often confusing it with selfishness. However, assertiveness is a healthy psychological trait. It's standing up for yourself without trampling over others. Intriguingly, scientific studies have found that assertive individuals experience fewer conflicts and enjoy more fulfilling relationships. It's about respect, both self-respect and respect for others. From a spiritual perspective, assertiveness is about honoring our truth and those of others. Begin practicing assertiveness by starting small. Identify situations where you typically compromise your needs and experiment with setting gentle boundaries. Notice how it feels to voice your preferences. For example, if you are always the one adjusting your schedule for others, try suggesting a different time that works better for you. It's enlightening to observe how others often respond positively when you're clear and respectful about your needs. Embracing vulnerability and resilience. It's fascinating how vulnerability, resilience, and emotional intelligence are intertwined. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a diving board, looking down at the water. That moment of apprehension, where your heart races and your knees wobble, is vulnerability. It's the recognition of risk, uncertainty, and emotional exposure. But here's the transformative part: the courage to take that leap is resilience. It's about bouncing back and growing from experiences, rather than caving into fear. Science backs this up wonderfully. Studies have shown that embracing vulnerability can actually strengthen your emotional resilience. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you're practicing a kind of emotional bravery that builds up your metaphorical muscles. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and reorganize itself, plays a crucial role here. Emotional intelligence bridges this beautifully. It's about being aware of our own feelings, recognizing how they affect our thoughts and actions, and managing emotions in a healthy way. We often think of vulnerability as a weakness, but paradoxically, it becomes a wellspring of strength when paired with emotional intelligence. Think about a time when you opened up to a friend about something deeply personal and challenging. Perhaps it was about a loss, a failure, or a fear. That moment of raw honesty might have felt gut-wrenchingly exposed, yet it also fostered a deeper connection and understanding. It's a real-world example of how vulnerability can bolster resilience and strengthen emotional bonds, nurturing emotional intelligence in the process. Research by Dr. Brené Brown, a well-known researcher in this field, shows that vulnerability is at the heart of meaningful human experiences like love, belonging, and even creative endeavors. Given this intricate dance between these three elements, developing strategies to embrace vulnerability and build emotional resilience becomes pivotal. Start by shifting how you perceive vulnerability. Instead of viewing it as a potential for failure, see it as an opportunity for growth. Reflect on past experiences where being open led to positive outcomes, reinforcing the idea that vulnerability is a pathway, not a pitfall. Implement practices that encourage introspection and emotional processing, such as journaling or mindfulness meditation. These activities allow you to name and navigate your emotions, which is a cornerstone of emotional intelligence. Another powerful strategy is to seek supportive communities. Whether it's a group of friends, a support group, or an online community, having a safe space to express yourself authentically, without judgment, can fortify your emotional resilience. You're more likely to take risks and embrace vulnerability when you know there's a net to catch you. Emotional resilience also benefits greatly from physical well-being. Regular exercise, adequate sleep, and a balanced diet are not just about physical health, they're interlinked with emotional well-being. Exercise, for instance, releases endorphins that counteract stress and boost mood, making it easier to face vulnerable situations with confidence. Remember, each step towards embracing vulnerability and building resilience is a step towards a more emotionally intelligent life. One practical tip to integrate into your daily routine is to create moments of intentional vulnerability. This could be as simple as sharing a personal story with a colleague or seeking feedback on a project you're uncertain about. These small acts can gradually build a robust framework of emotional resilience, rooted in the courage to be vulnerable. Chapter 9. Cultivating Emotional Intelligence in Children. Teaching emotional regulation skills. Emotional regulation is like a superpower for children. Being able to manage their emotions not only helps them in their day-to-day interactions, but also sets a solid foundation for their future. Imagine a child who can recognize their feelings and know the best way to handle them rather than acting out or shutting down. It's like having an internal compass, navigating through life's many challenges. Emotionally regulated children are generally more resilient, show better social skills, and tend to perform well academically. I once met a young boy named Timmy, who used to get overwhelmingly anxious before tests. With the help of emotional regulation techniques, he learned how to calm his mind, and it made a world of difference in his confidence and performance. Scientifically, emotional regulation is linked to the development of the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making and impulse control. From a spiritual perspective, it aligns with the idea of being in harmony with oneself and the world around them. Understanding and cultivating emotional regulation can be a profound gift we give to our children. So, how do we teach children these invaluable skills? The approach and techniques need to be age-appropriate, engaging, and relatable. For toddlers, it might be as simple as naming emotions. If a child is crying because they're upset, you could say, "I see you are feeling sad because you wanted to play with that toy." This validates their feelings and gives them the vocabulary they need to express themselves. For preschoolers, storytime can be an excellent tool. Through stories, children see characters experiencing and managing different emotions, allowing them to understand emotional responses better. Techniques such as deep breathing exercises, where they imagine blowing out birthday candles, can also be highly effective. Executives often practice mindfulness. There's no reason why a hyperactive 5-year-old can't benefit from the same strategy. Older children might engage in more complex activities, like journaling their feelings or practicing guided imagery. One preteen girl I knew kept an emotion diary, and it helped her track how she felt and why, providing insights that even her parents found enlightening. Activities like these enable children to reflect on their emotions, develop coping strategies, and foster emotional intelligence. A practical tip: encourage children to develop a feelings toolkit. This can include items or activities that help them self-soothe or express their emotions, such as a favorite book, a stress ball, or drawing supplies. Teaching children to use their toolkit when they start feeling overwhelmed can significantly enhance their ability to regulate emotions. Remember, the goal is to empower children with the tools they need to navigate their inner world, making them more adept at handling whatever life throws their way. Emotional intelligence in education. Imagine walking into a classroom where students are not just learning about math equations or historical dates, but also about understanding their own emotions and those of others. This is the essence of incorporating emotional intelligence, EI, in education. Emotional intelligence, often broken down into self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills, is pivotal in creating a learning environment where students thrive not only academically, but also personally and socially. I recall my school days when teachers who truly understood and addressed our feelings, who showed empathy and patience, left a lasting impact. Scientific research backs up these personal experiences. According to a study by the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence, students who exhibit high emotional intelligence tend to have better academic performance, improved attitudes and behaviors, and lower levels of stress and anxiety. When students feel valued and understood, they are more likely to be engaged and motivated learners. For instance, a student struggling with anxiety about a test can be helped significantly by a teacher who recognizes the signs of stress and offers supportive strategies. These could include mindfulness exercises, encouraging words, or practical tips on study habits. This approach not only eases the immediate anxiety, but also empowers students with tools to manage their emotions in the future. Now, how do we integrate emotional intelligence into our curriculums and teaching practices? Start by embedding EI principles into daily lessons. Instead of treating it as a separate subject, weave it through various disciplines. For example, in a literature class, you can discuss the emotional journeys of characters, helping students identify and articulate their own emotional responses. In science, explore how emotional and mental health can affect physical health, linking biology with real-life applications. Stories and characters provide a natural way for students to learn empathy by putting themselves in others' shoes. Think about Charlotte's Web, a tale that beautifully illustrates friendship, empathy, and loss, opening doors to deep emotional discussions. Additionally, teacher training is crucial. Professional development programs should include training on emotional intelligence, helping educators understand their own emotional landscapes and how these affect their teaching. Reflecting on my own experiences, I realize how much more effective I was as an educator once I learned to manage my stress and connect with students on an emotional level. Teachers who are emotionally aware can model these skills for their students, creating a more nurturing and effective learning environment. Lastly, don't forget the power of a compassionate classroom culture. Establish norms that encourage sharing and vulnerability. Start the day with a check-in, where students can voice how they're feeling. This simple practice can cultivate a sense of community and trust. Remember, it's not just about recognizing emotions, but teaching students constructive ways to express and manage them. Consider implementing techniques like mindfulness meditation or social-emotional learning (SEL) programs that provide structured activities geared towards fostering emotional intelligence. Incorporating emotional intelligence into education is not just a trend, it's a necessity. By focusing on the emotional well-being of students, we can create an educational experience that prepares them for academic success and life beyond the classroom. Next time you're planning a lesson or interacting with a student, take a moment to consider not just what they need to learn, but how they're feeling and what they need emotionally. Sometimes the most powerful lesson is simply to show that you care. Supporting children's emotional development. Children's emotions can be a whirlwind, can't they? One moment they're beaming with joy and the next, they're a puddle of tears. Understanding their emotional needs and challenges is key in helping them navigate this roller coaster. Kids experience emotions intensely and might not always have the words to express how they feel. This can lead to frustration for both children and adults alike. Scientific studies have shown that the emotional centers of children's brains are more active than those of adults. Their prefrontal cortex, which helps manage strong emotions, isn't fully developed yet. Hence, they're still learning how to regulate their feelings. As parents, teachers, or caregivers, it's crucial to recognize this developmental stage. When your little one throws a tantrum, it's not just a bad attitude. It's their way of expressing something they can't articulate. I remember one evening when my daughter, exhausted from a busy day at school, burst into tears over a minor issue. I kneeled to her level, made eye contact, and listened. In that moment, I realized she just needed someone to acknowledge her feelings. Spiritual teachings often emphasize the power of presence and compassion. Sometimes, simply being there and offering a listening ear can make all the difference. Nurturing emotional intelligence in children is like planting seeds for a flourishing garden. It involves developing supportive strategies that help them identify, understand, and manage their emotions. One powerful method is using empathy. Reflecting back what they say fosters a safe space for them to open up. For instance, if your child says they're scared of the dark, acknowledge their fear without judgment. I understand you're afraid. The dark can be unsettling. This validation helps them feel seen and heard. Another pivotal strategy is teaching problem-solving skills. Encourage them to think of solutions when they face challenges. For example, if they're upset because they can't find a toy, guide them to consider where they last saw it or to think about steps to keep their toys organized. This empowers them to take control of their emotions and actions. Additionally, incorporating mindfulness activities, such as deep breathing or gentle yoga, can provide them with tools to calm their minds. Spiritual practices often emphasize mindfulness as a way to connect with the present moment and find inner peace. These approaches can be adapted for children, helping them develop a calm and focused mind. Let's not forget the importance of leading by example. Kids are keen observers and often mimic adult behaviors. When they see you managing your stress calmly or expressing your emotions healthily, they're more likely to adopt these behaviors. On a challenging day, If you verbalize your feelings and use coping strategies in front of them, it teaches them invaluable lessons. In our journey as parents or caregivers, it's essential to remember that fostering emotional intelligence in children is an ongoing process. Patience and consistency are key. Over time, these small steps lead to significant growth, nurturing emotionally resilient and empathetic individuals. Lastly, always remind children that it's okay to feel. Emotions are a natural part of being human, and there's no such thing as a bad emotion. By creating an environment where they feel safe to express themselves without fear of judgment, we're not just addressing their immediate emotional needs, we're laying the foundation for a lifetime of emotional well-being. So the next time you're faced with a child's emotional outburst, take a deep breath, choose empathy, and remember, you're not just dealing with a moment, you're nurturing a blossoming heart and mind. Chapter 10. Overcoming Emotional Obstacles. Healing from Past Trauma. Imagine your mind as a house. Over the years, you've lived in this house and accumulated memories, both joyful and painful. Often, we tuck away painful memories in the attic, thinking they are out of sight and out of mind. But emotional intelligence, or EQ, helps us realize these memories still affect us, even as they gather dust. Emotional intelligence means being aware of, understanding, and managing our own emotions, as well as recognizing and influencing the emotions of those around us. It's like having a toolkit to clean out that cluttered attic, to face and process what we've stored away. Scientific studies support the power of emotional intelligence in recovery. For instance, individuals with high EQ are more adept at regulating their feelings, which is crucial in processing and healing from traumatic experiences. This isn't just psychobabble. Neuroscience shows that emotional intelligence activates the brain's prefrontal cortex, vital for rational thinking and emotional regulation, rather than letting the amygdala, the brain's alarm system, run the show. On a more personal note, my friend Jane struggled with a trauma from a car accident for years. She avoided driving, couldn't sleep well, and felt trapped by her anxiety. But when she began practicing mindfulness and improving her emotional intelligence, she noticed changes. By deliberately naming her emotions when they arose, fear, sadness, frustration, she started to gain control over them. This practice opened the door to deeper healing and even post-traumatic growth. Now, as you're navigating your own journey, consider incorporating similar strategies. One effective approach is mindful awareness, which involves paying full attention to the present moment without judgment. This can ground you, reducing the hold past traumas have on you. Practices such as journaling can be invaluable here, allowing you to articulate emotions you might not even realize you're feeling. Another strategy is to build a strong support system. Connect with people who offer a safe space for you to share your experiences without fear of judgment. Furthermore, professional help from therapists can provide guided strategies tailored to your needs, facilitating emotional processing and growth. Lastly, remember that healing is a gradual process. Give yourself the grace to feel, to cry, and to heal at your own pace. Trust that the moments you invest in building emotional intelligence now will create a more stable and peaceful future. A small, practical step you can start with today is practicing deep breathing whenever you feel overwhelmed. Spend just a few minutes focusing on your breath and observe how it calms your mind. This simple technique can be an excellent first step in reclaiming your sense of control and nurturing your emotional well-being. Navigating grief and loss with emotional intelligence. Grief and loss have profound impacts on our emotional well-being. When we lose a loved one, it often feels like a part of us has been taken away. Our emotions may become overwhelming. We might feel sadness, anger, confusion, and even guilt. Scientifically, grief can trigger a stress response, leading to sleep disturbances, loss of appetite, and a general sense of fatigue. Spiritually, our beliefs can be shaken, leading us to question the meaning of life, our faith, or the universe's fairness. Understanding these reactions is the first step toward healing. We need to recognize that grieving is a natural response and different for everyone. Developing coping mechanisms can help navigate through these tough times. Emotional intelligence plays a crucial role here. It's about being aware of our emotions, understanding them, and using that awareness to manage our responses. One effective coping mechanism is journaling. Writing down your feelings can provide an outlet for your pain and confusion. Another approach is practicing mindfulness, which can help ground you in the present and manage the anxiety that often accompanies grief. Spiritual practices, like prayer or meditation, can also provide solace and a sense of connection. Building a support system of friends and family who you can talk to openly is equally important. One personal story that comes to mind is of my friend Jenna, who lost her father a few years ago. She shared how initially, she was overwhelmed by her emotions. Rather than suppressing her feelings, she chose to acknowledge them. Jenna started painting as an emotional outlet, which helped her process her grief. By cultivating emotional intelligence, she slowly began to navigate her way through the loss. She found strength in accepting her emotions and allowing herself to grieve. This journey taught her invaluable lessons about resilience and self-compassion. Confronting anxiety and fear. Anxiety and fear are natural emotions that we all experience on varying levels throughout our lives. It's important to understand that these feelings are deeply connected to our overall emotional intelligence, which is our ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions as well as the emotions of others. Throughout history, anxiety and fear have been survival mechanisms, helping our ancestors respond to threats. Today, however, these same emotions can often feel overwhelming and debilitating because they are triggered not by physical threats, but by stressful situations such as work pressures, social relationships, or financial instability. The first step in managing anxiety and fear by leveraging emotional intelligence is learning to identify and acknowledge these feelings. For instance, I remember a time when I had to give a public speech, a situation that filled me with dread. By taking a moment to recognize my anxiety, I was able to address it more effectively. This self-awareness is a crucial component of emotional intelligence. Once we understand our triggers, we can better control our responses. Research shows that naming your emotions reduces their intensity. So, simply saying "I feel anxious" can actually help diminish your anxiety. When it comes to overcoming anxiety and fear, emotional intelligence offers several techniques. One popular and effective strategy is mindfulness. By focusing on the present moment and accepting it without judgment, mindfulness reduces anxiety and helps us respond to fear with a calm and clear mind. During particularly anxious times in my life, I found solace in short mindfulness exercises, deep breathing and concentrating on singular actions like sipping tea slowly, which grounded me and brought immediate relief. Psychologists confirm that these practices calm the nervous system and reduce stress hormones. Another powerful tool is cognitive reframing. This involves changing the way we perceive an anxious thought or fearful situation. For example, instead of seeing a job interview as a terrifying ordeal, we can frame it as an opportunity to showcase our skills. Emotional intelligence allows us to redirect our focus from potential negative outcomes to positive possibilities. A friend of mine, who used to have severe anxiety about flying, started reframing his fear. Instead of dwelling on what could go wrong, he would think about the excitement of the destination and the people he would meet there. Over time, this shift in perspective greatly reduced his fear. Building emotional resilience is another critical aspect. Resilience comes from a combination of self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills, all pillars of emotional intelligence. By cultivating these skills, we become stronger in the face of adversity. I met a woman at a retreat who shared her journey through anxiety. She emphasized the importance of a support system, friends, family, or even online communities, where one feels understood and supported. This emotional support bolstered her resilience immensely. Each of these techniques, mindfulness, cognitive reframing, and building resilience, come with practice and patience. Remember, anxiety and fear don't disappear overnight, but by consistently applying emotional intelligence strategies, you can manage these emotions effectively and lead a more balanced and fulfilling life. Next time you feel anxious or fearful, take a moment to breathe deeply, acknowledge your feelings, and use these insights to guide your response. Practice small acts of mindfulness and consider reframing your thoughts to see challenges as opportunities for growth. Chapter 11: Emotional Intelligence and Mental Health. The role of emotional intelligence in mental wellness. Emotional intelligence, EI, appears to be a buzzword these days, but its relationship with mental well-being can't be overstated. The ability to identify, understand, and manage our emotions offers a significant influence on our mental health. Think about a time you felt overwhelmed. Maybe it was during an argument with a loved one or a stressful moment at work. How you handled that situation likely depended on your emotional intelligence. Those with higher EI tend to navigate such murky waters more smoothly, feeling less stressed and more in control. It's not just about keeping calm but being able to read emotional cues, both in ourselves and others. This insightful awareness can transform how we handle stress, create bonds, and approach life's challenges. Imagine you're having a lousy day. Traffic was unbearable, your boss was critical, and your plans for the evening fell through. Someone with emotional intelligence might pause, recognize their frustration, and choose to take a few deep breaths or spend a few moments in mindfulness. The benefits? Reduced stress levels, a clearer mind, and better decision-making. Scientifically, this practice can lower cortisol levels, our stress hormone, and promote the release of endorphins, the body's natural mood lifter. Emotionally intelligent people often find it easier to practice self-care, develop supportive relationships, and adopt healthier lifestyles. All of these factors intertwine to create a robust framework for better mental health. We cannot disregard the spiritual facet of emotional intelligence. Consider how many spiritual teachings advocate for self-awareness, empathy, and inner harmony. Emotional intelligence resonates deeply with these principles. When we enhance our EI, we align more closely with these spiritual insights. Take the act of forgiveness, for instance. It requires emotional maturity to let go of grudges and embrace a forgiving heart, a process that significantly benefits mental well-being. Emotionally intelligent individuals are more likely to find peace within themselves, fostering a positive and resilient mindset. Integrating emotional intelligence in therapy. Consider for a moment how profoundly our emotions influence our day-to-day decisions. Now, imagine bringing that understanding into therapy sessions. Emotional intelligence, EI, in therapy can help both therapists and clients better navigate the healing journey. One of the major benefits lies in the improved communication between a therapist and a client. By recognizing and managing emotions effectively, therapists can create a trusting and open environment. This fosters a deeper connection, making clients feel heard and understood, a foundational aspect of effective therapy. Therapists who incorporate emotional intelligence practices are often more attuned to their clients' nonverbal cues, such as body language and facial expressions. This heightened awareness allows therapists to respond more empathically and accurately to what their clients are experiencing but might not be saying. I once worked with a client who was dealing with severe anxiety, but had difficulty articulating their feelings. By tuning into their emotional signals, like subtle changes in tone and body posture, we could break down those internal barriers. This led to more profound breakthroughs over time as the client felt more understood and validated. Delving into the techniques of emotional intelligence brings us to the heart of enhancing therapeutic outcomes. Techniques such as active listening, empathy, and emotional regulation can dramatically influence the therapy process. Active listening means fully concentrating, understanding, and thoughtfully responding during exchanges. It's not just about hearing words, but being present enough to grasp their emotional undertones. When a therapist listens actively, it conveys to the client that their feelings and experiences genuinely matter. Empathy goes hand in hand with this. By putting themselves in the client's shoes, therapists can better understand their client's perspectives and struggles, making the therapeutic relationship more robust. Yet, one cannot overlook the importance of emotional regulation, both for therapists and clients. Managing one's own emotions allows therapists to stay compassionate and effective even when sessions become intense or emotionally charged. For clients, gaining skills in emotional regulation means they are better equipped to handle stress, sadness, or other challenging emotions outside the therapy room. I remember a particularly impactful session with a teenager who had trouble managing anger. By teaching them techniques like mindful breathing and reframing negative thoughts, the teen gradually learned to control emotional outbursts, leading to improved relationships and a better self-image. To implement emotional intelligence in therapy, start with small steps. Practice being aware of your own emotional state and recognize how it affects your interactions. As a therapist, this self-awareness can prevent countertransference, where a therapist's unresolved issues interfere with the client's therapy. As a client, being in tune with your emotional reactions can help you communicate your needs more effectively. The journey isn't about being perfect, but about moving steadily towards greater emotional understanding and connection. Sometimes, something as simple as taking a moment to breathe deeply and acknowledge what you feel can be the beginning of profound emotional insight and improved therapeutic outcomes. Remember, integrating emotional intelligence into therapy is a continuous process of learning and growth. Whether you're a seasoned therapist or embarking on your own healing journey, approaching each session with emotional awareness and empathy can pave the way for more meaningful and transformative experiences. So, next time you step into a therapy session, take a moment to tune into the emotional undercurrents. It might just make all the difference. Supporting mental health through emotional awareness. Emotional awareness is like having a finely tuned antenna. It helps you pick up on the signals your body and mind send before they become too overwhelming. Imagine you're a sailor. If you're aware of the changing weather patterns, clouds gathering, wind speeds, you'll navigate your ship more effectively, preventing a sudden storm from capsizing you. Similarly, being in tune with your emotions can help you steer clear of mental health crises. One evening, I found myself irritable for no apparent reason. Instead of brushing it off, I paused, took a deep breath, and traced my feelings back to an earlier stressful interaction at work. Recognizing this allowed me to address the root cause and mitigate its impact on my evening. Scientific studies back this up, showing that people who are more aware of their emotions are better equipped to handle stress. Developing emotional awareness often starts with mindfulness practices. During a period of high anxiety in my life, I turned to mindfulness meditation. Each day, I sat in a quiet room, closed my eyes, and focused on my breathing. Initially, my mind would wander, but with practice, I became more attuned to the subtle whispers of my emotional landscape. Spiritual teachings suggest that this inward focus connects us to our true selves, and modern psychology agrees. Research shows that mindfulness can decrease symptoms of anxiety and depression by teaching us to observe our emotions non-judgmentally. So when you feel that knot in your stomach, instead of ignoring it, ask yourself, what is my body trying to tell me? Learning to tune into these signals is the first step toward emotional regulation. Emotional regulation is like having an emotional GPS. It guides you through complex feelings and helps you find constructive paths forward. Imagine you're driving and suddenly hit a detour. Without a GPS, you might panic or get lost. Emotional regulation strategies, like deep breathing, cognitive reframing, and even physical exercise, are your mental detours. On a particularly stressful day, I once took a break to walk in a nearby park. The fresh air and movement helped clear my mind and calm my frayed nerves. Psychologists emphasize the importance of these techniques, teaching that consistent practice can rewire the brain for better stress management. Start with small steps. Throughout my journey, I've found that regular check-ins with myself work wonders. Every morning, I spend 5 minutes journaling how I feel and what might be causing those emotions. This practice not only helps me understand my emotional triggers, but also offers a sense of control and direction for the day. Experts suggest that even such small acts of emotional awareness can significantly improve your overall mental health. By understanding and regulating our emotions, we can create a calmer, more balanced internal environment. Chapter 12. Cultivating Emotional Resilience. Building Inner Strength and Adaptability. Life will throw some curveballs our way, without a doubt. How we bounce back, or better yet, how we anticipate and navigate these challenges is what resilience is all about. Picture this: a time when you were faced with a significant setback. Maybe it was a job loss, a breakup, or something as universally unsettling as a global pandemic. Did you crumble, or did you find a way to adapt and move forward? Developing resilience starts with the acknowledgement that setbacks are an inevitable part of life. They don't define us, our response to them does. When we build resilience, we allow ourselves to be flexible and open-minded about our experiences, seeing them not as roadblocks but as learning opportunities. This mindset isn't just a lofty ideal, it's grounded in psychology. Studies show that resilient people tend to have a positive view of themselves and their abilities, which enables them to cope better with stress. Let's dig a bit deeper into cultivating inner strength and adaptability through emotional intelligence practices. Emotional intelligence, EI, the ability to understand and manage your own emotions as well as those of others, is crucial here. A key aspect of EI is self-awareness, knowing what you're feeling and why. Imagine you're in a stressful situation. Instead of reacting impulsively, take a moment to tune into your emotions. Are you anxious, frustrated, or sad? Understanding these emotions allows you to manage them more effectively. For example, deep breathing or mindfulness can help calm your nerves. Another vital component is empathy, which helps in connecting with others during tough times. By showing empathy, we foster more meaningful relationships, which in turn can provide the emotional support we need to navigate life's ups and downs. Moreover, spirituality can also play a significant role in building inner strength. It's not about any specific religion, but more about connecting with something greater than ourselves. This connection can be a source of comfort and guidance. For instance, practices like meditation or spending time in nature can help quiet the mind and bring a sense of peace. Scientifically, these practices have been shown to reduce stress and improve overall well-being. By blending these elements, psychological strategies, emotional intelligence, and spiritual practices, we create a robust foundation that helps us stay grounded and adaptable in the face of adversity. So, next time life throws a curveball at you, remember that you have an entire toolkit at your disposal. Whether it's practicing mindfulness, tuning into your emotions, or finding solace in a spiritual practice, these strategies can help you build the resilience needed to face any challenge head-on. Finding meaning and purpose in challenges. There are moments in life when challenges shake us to our core, leaving us questioning everything. It's in these moments that the quest for meaning and purpose can feel most crucial yet exceptionally elusive. Viktor Frankl, a renowned psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, suggested that life's meaning can be discovered even amid the most heinous circumstances. He believed that our primary drive isn't pleasure, as Freud suggested, but the pursuit of what we find meaningful. This perspective offers a profound shift. Instead of seeing difficulties as setbacks, we can view them as opportunities to find deeper meaning in our lives. Consider my friend Jenna, who faced a grave illness a few years back. Jenna was a dynamic person, full of energy and constantly on the go. Her sudden illness forced her into a long period of reflection and reconsideration of what truly mattered to her. Throughout her journey, Jenna's approach to her challenge was deeply influenced by her desire to find purpose in her suffering. She didn't have to force this; it came naturally as she processed her experience. Through journaling, speaking with supportive friends, and engaging in spiritual practices like meditation and prayer, Jenna found a renewed sense of purpose. She began to appreciate life's small moments, something she had overlooked in the past. Developing strategies to create a sense of meaning and purpose requires building emotional resilience. One of the most effective ways to start is by acknowledging and accepting your feelings. Denying or suppressing emotions can exacerbate stress and hinder personal growth. Instead, give yourself permission to feel sad, angry, or frustrated. Emotional resilience doesn't mean you won't experience hardships. It means you'll navigate through them without losing your sense of self. Scientific research supports the notion that resilient individuals often frame their experiences in ways that enable them to grow. For example, psychologist Martin Seligman's work on positive psychology emphasizes the role of optimism and a positive mindset. By focusing on what's within your control and what you can learn from any given situation, you gradually build resilience. Spiritual practices also contribute. Whether it's prayer, meditation, or spending time in nature, these activities provide grounding and a sense of connection to something greater than oneself. Think of the meaningful lessons you've learned in life. Chances are, many of them came during tough times. Finding purpose often involves reframing your narrative. Ask yourself, what is this challenge teaching me? How can this experience contribute to my personal growth? It may help to start a journal where you jot down your thoughts and feelings, as well as any insights you gain along the way. Sharing your experiences with others can also provide new perspectives and deepen your understanding of your own journey. Remember, every individual's path to finding meaning and purpose is unique. There isn't a one-size-fits-all solution, and that's perfectly okay. Your journey is shaped by your experiences, beliefs, and choices. Over time, through both scientific understanding and spiritual insight, you'll find that every experience, no matter how challenging, can serve as a stepping stone towards a more fulfilled life. Thriving in the face of adversity. Life can throw some unexpected challenges our way. Whether it's a personal loss, a career setback, or a global crisis, adversity is something we all face at some point. How we respond to these challenges can make all the difference in our ability to not just survive, but to thrive. Developing skills and mindsets that help us grow in the face of adversity can be transformative. One of the foundational skills is resilience, the ability to recover from setbacks and adapt to difficult circumstances. Resilience doesn't mean we won't experience stress or hardship. It means we have the capacity to bounce back. This skill can be cultivated through practice and mindfulness. Start by consciously noting your stressors and reflecting on past challenges you've overcome. Remember, every setback is also an opportunity to develop new strategies and improve on old ones. Equally important is cultivating a growth mindset, a term popularized by psychologist Carol Dweck. This mindset revolves around the belief that our abilities and intelligence can be developed with time and effort. When faced with adversity, instead of seeing it as a roadblock, view it as a chance to learn and grow. Practice self-compassion and patience, understanding that stumbling is part of the journey. Visualization can also be a powerful tool. Visualize how you want to handle difficult situations and imagine the steps you need to take to get there. This mental practice can prepare you to face real challenges with more confidence and clarity. Emotional well-being plays a crucial role in our capacity to handle adversity and experience growth afterward. One practice that can significantly enhance emotional well-being is mindfulness meditation. Regular mindfulness practice helps ground us in the present moment, reducing anxiety and stress that can cloud our judgment. Another practice is journaling, which allows us to process emotions and reflect on our experiences. Writing about what we are grateful for, even in tough times, can shift our focus from what's wrong to what's right. Building a strong support network is also vital. Connection with others who understand and support us can be incredibly healing. Talking to friends, family, or even a therapist can offer new perspectives and relieve the burden of carrying difficulties alone. Additionally, practices like yoga and exercise release endorphins that improve mood and energy levels, making it easier to cope with challenges. Engaging in creative activities such as painting, music, or crafting can also provide emotional relief and a sense of accomplishment. Remember, the journey through adversity is deeply personal, and what works for one person might not work for another. It's about finding the right combination of practices that resonate with you personally. Start by incorporating small changes and observe their impact on your well-being. Over time, these small shifts can add up, creating a strong foundation to thrive in the face of adversity. Try starting with a daily mindfulness practice, even if it's just for 5 minutes, and gradually build up. Reflect on your experiences and remain curious about new strategies and practices that might enhance your emotional resilience. Chapter 13: Mind-Body Connection and Emotional Intelligence. The impact of emotions on physical health. Emotions isn't just in your head, they can deeply influence your physical well-being. When you're stressed or feeling down, your body reacts in ways that can be quite surprising. Have you ever noticed how your heart beats faster when you're anxious or how a headache creeps in when you're upset? These are clear signs of how emotions and physical health are intertwined. Stress, for instance, can trigger the release of hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which in small amounts can be beneficial. However, chronic stress keeps these hormones flooding your system, which can lead to issues like high blood pressure, weakened immune function, and even weight gain. But let's not just skim over the negatives. It's also fascinating to see how positive emotions can lead to better health. Feeling content, experiencing joy, and even having a good laugh have been shown to release endorphins, those feel-good hormones that can relieve pain and boost your mood. A positive emotional state can enhance immune function and even improve outcomes for people dealing with chronic diseases. It's no wonder then that practices which promote emotional well-being, like mindfulness and meditation, can have a profound effect on physical health. Emotional intelligence, EI, comes into play here. By understanding and managing our emotions, we can actually protect our health. EI helps us navigate stressful situations more effectively, reducing the harmful impact of stress on the body. For instance, if you're aware that you're starting to feel overwhelmed, you can take steps to calm yourself before those stress hormones get out of control. Practicing deep breathing, taking a walk, or even talking to a friend can help manage your emotions and keep your body in a healthier state. Let's take a moment to consider the spiritual aspect as well. Many spiritual practices emphasize the importance of emotional well-being. Whether it's through prayer, meditation, or community support, these practices offer ways to manage and understand our emotions. They often provide a sense of purpose and connectedness, which can be immensely beneficial for both the mind and body. In fact, studies have shown that individuals who engage in regular spiritual practices often report better health outcomes compared to those who don't. So, the next time you're feeling a wave of emotion, take a moment to check in with your body. Notice how you feel physically and acknowledge what your body might be telling you. Emotions are powerful, They're not just fleeting thoughts but signals that can guide you towards better health, if you listen. Practicing emotional intelligence through mindful movement. Imagine a moment when you felt overwhelmed, perhaps after a hard day at work or an unexpected disagreement with a loved one. Now, recall how your body responded. Maybe your shoulders shrugged up, your breathing became shallow, or your fists clenched. It's fascinating how our emotions physically manifest in our bodies. Mindful movement taps into this intimate connection, helping us to become more aware of and attuned to our emotions. By practicing mindful movement, we can harness emotional intelligence in powerful ways. Mindful movement, such as yoga, tai chi, or even a gentle walk, encourages us to be present and fully engaged with our bodies. This presence opens the door to recognizing and understanding our emotions. For instance, during a yoga session, the moment you hold a challenging pose, observe the rush of frustration or self-doubt that may arise. Instead of pushing the feelings away, mindfulness teaches us to acknowledge them with compassion. This practice of staying with our emotions, rather than avoiding them, builds emotional resilience. One of the emotions I often wrestled with was anxiety, especially during public speaking or high-pressure situations. It felt like a storm brewing in my chest, making my heart race and thoughts jumble. Through mindful movement, I learned to anchor myself in the present moment. Breathing deeply, feeling the ground under my feet, and moving slowly helped me navigate the storm with grace. Science backs this up. Research shows that mindful movement can lower cortisol levels, reduce stress, and improve overall mood. Consider the spiritual insights from ancient practices like Tai Chi. It teaches us about the flow of energy or Qi through our bodies. This flow is disrupted when we're emotionally distressed. By engaging in Tai Chi, we can harmonize this energy, bringing emotional equilibrium. It's not just about physical exercise, it's about moving in sync with our inner selves. This self-awareness fosters emotional intelligence, enabling better control over our reactions and more empathetic interactions with others. To practice this, start with simple mindful exercises. Try this. Stand still and take a deep breath. Feel the air filling your lungs, and slowly release it. As you breathe, scan your body for areas of tension. Maybe it's your neck or your lower back. With each exhale, imagine releasing that tension. Notice any emotions that surface and greet them kindly. This simple act of mindful breathing and body scanning can be a powerful tool in managing emotions and enhancing your emotional well-being. Incorporating mindful movement into daily life doesn't require a complete lifestyle overhaul. It can be as simple as taking a few moments to stretch and breathe deeply when you wake up or before bed. Make these small practices a part of your routine, like brushing your teeth. Over time, you'll notice a shift in your emotional landscape. You'll be more in tune with your feelings, more resilient in the face of stress, and more compassionate towards yourself and others. Mindful movement is both an art and a science, blending the wisdom of the body, mind, and spirit to cultivate emotional intelligence. Holistic approaches to emotional well-being. Our emotional well-being is not isolated from our thoughts and physical health. Instead, it is deeply intertwined. Imagine your mental, emotional, and physical selves as a trio of musicians in a band. When they play in harmony, the music is beautiful and uplifting. When one is out of tune, the entire performance is affected. Holistic approaches recognize this interconnectedness and aim to create balance within this trio. For example, integrating practices such as mindfulness and meditation can significantly enhance emotional well-being by calming the mind and allowing you to process emotions more effectively. I remember a time when life felt overwhelming. My mind was cluttered with worries, and I could feel the tension in my shoulders and back. A friend suggested meditation. Initially skeptical, I noticed how 10 minutes of mindfulness each morning helped clear mental fog, making my emotional responses more measured and my body more relaxed. Scientific studies back this up, showing that regular mindfulness practice reduces stress hormones and increases emotional resilience. Exercise is another powerful tool. It's not just about maintaining physical health, it's a key player in emotional balance. Physical activity releases endorphins, known as nature's mood lifters. During a particularly dreary winter, I took up running. Despite the icy air nipping at my nose, the rhythmic motion and oxygen pumping through my system brought clarity and a surprising sense of joy. Research supports this, indicating that physical exercise can alleviate symptoms of depression and anxiety, proving that caring for your body directly impacts your emotional state. Spirituality, too, offers immense benefits. Whether through prayer, contemplation, or connecting with nature, spiritual practices can provide a sense of purpose and a deeper understanding of one's emotions, fostering overall well-being. Developing strategies for a holistic lifestyle involves cultivating awareness and taking consistent small steps toward integrating these practices into daily life. Emotional intelligence plays a crucial role in this endeavor. Understanding and managing your emotions, as well as empathizing with others, form the bedrock of emotional intelligence. Start by practicing self-awareness. Journaling is a valuable tool. It helps articulate your feelings and thoughts, clarifying emotional patterns. Next, work on self-regulation by identifying triggers and employing techniques such as deep breathing or counting to 10 before reacting. I once faced a nerve-wracking public speaking event. By recognizing my anxiety trigger and focusing on my breath, I transformed nerves into a source of energy that spoke for me instead of against me. Empathy and social skills are equally crucial. Listen actively to others, fostering connections that provide mutual support. I recall a challenging period when a friend was dealing with significant personal loss. By simply being present and offering a listening ear, I provided comfort, while learning to appreciate the strength in vulnerability. Scientific research attests that strong social ties significantly bolster emotional health. Lastly, maintaining a holistic lifestyle means nourishing your body with balanced nutrition, ensuring adequate sleep, and setting aside time for activities that bring joy and relaxation. It's not about making radical changes overnight, but about embracing a nurturing approach to daily living. Chapter 14. Embracing Self-Acceptance and Authenticity. Embracing Imperfections and Self-Love. Accepting oneself in entirety, flaws and all, is the cornerstone of personal growth. Without self-acceptance, we're constantly at war with who we are, unable to fully harness our potential. Imagine trying to flourish in a garden where you're not comfortable with the soil. That's precisely what life feels like when self-acceptance is missing. When we embrace ourselves, including our imperfections, it creates a space for growth, healing, and transformation. Surprisingly, scientific studies reveal that individuals with higher self-acceptance tend to have lower levels of stress and higher life satisfaction. The spiritual realm echoes this sentiment, teaching that self-love is the key to true enlightenment and inner peace. So how do we reach this state of self-acceptance and self-love? It starts with small but powerful practices. One effective method is to change the narrative we tell ourselves. Instead of focusing on what you perceive as flaws, shift your attention to your strengths and achievements. This doesn't mean ignoring your shortcomings, but learning to balance the scales. Cultivating a mindset that embraces imperfections involves acknowledging that everyone has them, and they do not define us. In a world obsessed with perfection, it's radical to accept that you are enough just as you are. Perhaps you've heard of the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is mended with gold. What if you viewed your imperfections as parts of you that add value and uniqueness to your life? Practical exercises can deepen this mindset. Consider writing a love letter to yourself, highlighting the qualities you appreciate and the growth you've observed. Building rituals around self-compassion can also be transformative. Whether it's through daily affirmations, meditation, or simply treating yourself with kindness in moments of failure. Another powerful practice is mindful self-compassion, which research has shown to reduce anxiety and boost overall well-being. Try this. Next time you find yourself criticizing your actions or looks, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, would I speak to a friend this way? Often, treating ourselves with the same kindness we would offer others can radically shift our inner dialogue. Living a life true to your values. Living in alignment with your personal values and beliefs is like having a compass guiding you through life's myriad choices and challenges. It's about recognizing what truly matters to you and making decisions that reflect these core principles. You might have noticed that when your actions resonate with your inner values, a sense of peace and contentment follows. This is because you are honoring your true self, which brings about a profound sense of authenticity. Let me share a little story. A friend of mine, Alex, always valued family above all else. However, he often found himself saying yes to work commitments that kept him away from home. Despite career progress, there was an underlying unease. It wasn't until Alex began prioritizing family time and setting boundaries at work that he found a more fulfilling balance. This shift wasn't just about finding time for family, but about ensuring his actions aligned with his core values. Our values act like roots of a tree, providing stability and nourishment as we grow. Developing strategies to honor these values in daily life is essential. Start by identifying your core values. You can do this through reflection or journaling, asking yourself what brings the deepest sense of joy and purpose. Once clear, integrate these values into your routine. If kindness is key for you, find daily opportunities to help others, even in small ways. If creativity is your passion, carve out time regularly to engage in activities that inspire you. Science backs up the benefits of living authentically. Research indicates that individuals who align their lifestyle with their values experience reduced stress and enhanced mental well-being. When our outer actions reflect our inner beliefs, we avoid the cognitive dissonance that arises from living a life discordant from our true selves. From a spiritual perspective, many philosophies suggest that living true to one's values aligns us with a higher purpose. This alignment not only nurtures our spirit, but also influences the energy we share with the world around us. Just as a single candle can light others without diminishing its flame, living authentically can inspire and uplift those we interact with daily. Remember to practice self-compassion as you strive for authenticity. It's natural to slip up or face moments of conflict between your values and life's demands. The key is to recognize these moments, learn from them, and gently steer yourself back on course. Imagine your journey as a river, sometimes encountering rocks or deviations, yet always finding its way onward. Embrace the flow, and your values will guide you toward a life that feels genuinely yours. Owning your story with courage. Understanding the power of owning and sharing personal stories as a means of growth and connection is deeply transformative. Each of us carries a unique tapestry of experiences, thoughts, dreams, and challenges. When we step into the arena of our own lives and choose to narrate our stories, we not only validate our existence, but also invite others into a world of empathy and understanding. Research shows that sharing our personal narratives can significantly boost psychological well-being. Studies indicate that telling our stories can reduce stress levels and enhance our sense of belonging. Spiritually, many traditions emphasize the importance of sharing one's journey. It's through these stories that wisdom is passed down, and communities are strengthened. Imagine for a moment the last time you shared a personal story. Recall the connection you felt. The emotion in the eyes of your listener wasn't just for the tale you told, but for the human experience echoing between the lines. That's the magic of shared stories. They create bonds that transcend spoken words and dive straight into the essence of our shared humanity. Developing self-expression and vulnerability skills to live authentically and courageously requires a courageous leap into the unknown parts of ourselves. Self-expression is the bridge between the internal world of thoughts and emotions and the external world where we interact. To express oneself authentically, it's crucial to cultivate vulnerability. Dr. Brené Brown, a renowned researcher, describes vulnerability as the birthplace of creativity, joy, and innovation. Being vulnerable means showing up as our true selves, without masks or pretenses. It's about saying, "This is who I am, with all my imperfections." This kind of openness can be daunting, but it is incredibly empowering. It not only fosters deeper connections with those around us, but also nurtures our self-worth. Authentic living doesn't mean revealing everything to everyone. Rather, it's about being true to ourselves, choosing to express our genuine thoughts, feelings, and desires. When we embrace vulnerability, we give others permission to do the same. It's a process that starts with small, courageous steps, like sharing our thoughts with a trusted friend or expressing a long-held dream. Over time, these acts of courage accumulate, transforming the way we live and relate to the world. While these concepts are universal, they resonate differently with everyone. A practical tip to start owning your story with courage is to journal regularly. Writing down your experiences and feelings helps in organizing thoughts and recognizing patterns. It's a private space where you can reflect without judgment. From there, gradually share with trusted individuals, step by step, creating a safe environment where your narrative can be honored and supported. This practice can act as a bridge towards more open, honest interactions, fostering growth, connection, and overall well-being. Chapter 15. Sustaining Emotional Intelligence for a Fulfilling Life. Creating emotional balance in daily life. Life is a roller coaster of emotions, and finding practical strategies to maintain emotional balance is essential. One powerful approach is incorporating mindfulness into daily routines. Imagine starting your day with a few minutes of focused breathing or meditation. Science shows that mindfulness can reduce stress and increase emotional resilience. Personally, I find it grounding to begin my mornings with a short meditation, just focusing on my breath. This creates a serene mindset, making it easier to navigate the day's challenges. Similarly, engaging in activities that foster self-awareness, like journaling, can help in understanding and managing emotions. Developing daily routines that support emotional intelligence doesn't have to be complex. Simple habits, such as practicing gratitude, can significantly enhance emotional well-being. Take a moment each day to reflect on things you're grateful for, whether it's the warmth of the sun or a kind word from a friend. Incorporating physical exercise into your routine is another effective strategy. Exercise produces endorphins, often referred to as feel-good hormones. Walking in nature, for instance, not only benefits your body but also rejuvenates your mind. Additionally, prioritizing sleep is crucial as it affects your mood and cognitive functions. Setting a consistent sleep schedule can vastly improve emotional health. Since every individual's journey to emotional balance is unique, blending personal insights with scientific and spiritual teachings can be incredibly beneficial. For me, connecting with my spiritual side through meditation and reading philosophical texts enriches my emotional landscape. Science concurs, as studies have shown that spirituality and a sense of purpose can enhance life satisfaction and emotional stability. Building a community of supportive individuals can also fortify emotional well-being. Surround yourself with people who uplift you and share your values. Engaging in meaningful conversations and teamwork can foster a sense of belonging and emotional security. One tip that has greatly helped me is the practice of self-compassion. Being kind to yourself in the face of failures and setbacks is crucial for emotional balance. Instead of harsh self-criticism, try to treat yourself as you would a dear friend. This shift in perspective not only eases emotional distress, but also cultivates a more resilient and loving mindset. Keep experimenting with different strategies, and you'll find what resonates best with you to maintain emotional balance and well-being. Nurturing emotional intelligence for long-term happiness. Developing emotional intelligence is not something that happens overnight. Like any skill, it requires consistent practice and a mindset open to growth and learning. One of the best practices to nurture emotional intelligence is mindfulness. By regularly engaging in activities that center on the present moment, such as meditation or deep breathing exercises, you can become more attuned to your emotions and reactions. This awareness allows you to respond to situations thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. I remember when I first started practicing mindfulness, I was astounded by how much more in control I felt of my emotions. It was as if I had been given a new lens through which to view the world. Another important practice is active listening. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to fall into the trap of half-listening while multitasking. However, by truly focusing on what others are saying, you can understand their emotions better. This not only improves your relationships, but also enhances your empathy, a core component of emotional intelligence. Cultivating an attitude of curiosity and compassion towards others can go a long way. During conversations, try to put yourself in the other person's shoes and imagine how they are feeling. Ask questions that delve deeper into their experiences and emotions. Exploring the link between emotional intelligence and long-term happiness reveals some fascinating insights. Studies show that individuals with high emotional intelligence tend to have better mental health, stronger relationships, and greater career success, all crucial factors for long-term happiness. This makes sense when you consider that being in tune with your own emotions and those of others allows you to navigate life's ups and downs more effectively. Emotional intelligence helps you build resilience, a key trait in maintaining happiness over the long term. When I think about some of the happiest people I know, they all seem to share this remarkable ability to bounce back from adversity. Their emotional intelligence acts as a cushion, softening the blows of life's inevitable challenges. Interestingly, spiritual teachings also emphasize the importance of emotional intelligence. Many spiritual traditions encourage self-awareness, empathy, and compassion, qualities that are essential for emotional intelligence. Whether through prayer, meditation, or reflective practices, these traditions offer valuable tools for enhancing one's emotional acumen. Personally, I found that integrating some of these spiritual practices into my routine created a profound sense of peace and connection. The ancient wisdom of these traditions often aligns with modern psychological insights, creating a rich tapestry of guidance for those seeking long-term happiness. One practical tip for nurturing emotional intelligence is to keep an emotion journal. Each day, take a few minutes to jot down your emotions and the events that triggered them. This simple practice can help you identify patterns and understand your emotional landscape better. Over time, you'll find it easier to manage your emotions and respond to situations in a balanced way. Building emotional intelligence as a way of life. Understanding the importance of integrating emotional intelligence, EI, into all aspects of life can significantly alter how we experience the world. Imagine a simple scenario. You're caught in a traffic jam, running late for a crucial meeting. Your immediate response might be frustration, anger, or even panic. These reactions are natural, but what if, instead, you paused, took a deep breath, and considered how best to handle the situation calmly and thoughtfully? This is where emotional intelligence steps in. It's not just about managing your emotions, but also about understanding and empathizing with others. Scientific studies have shown that people with high EI tend to have better relationships, make wiser decisions, and perform better at work. They are also often happier and more resilient. Think about that friend of yours who always seems to keep their cool, no matter how chaotic things get. Chances are, they have high emotional intelligence. On a spiritual level, many believe that being in tune with your emotions and those of others brings you closer to understanding the essence of being human. It's about harmony and balance, qualities that bring peace and fulfillment. Developing strategies to make emotional intelligence a natural and sustainable way of being starts with self-awareness. Start journaling your feelings. A simple act of noting down how you feel at different times of the day can provide insight. Couple this with mindfulness practices. For example, when faced with stress, instead of reacting instantly, take a step back. Breathe deeply and assess why you're feeling this way. This pause allows your brain to shift from reaction to reflection. Another strategy is empathy practice. Put yourself in others' shoes, especially in conflicts. Next time you find yourself arguing, try to understand the other person's perspective. This doesn't mean you have to agree, but acknowledging their emotions can lead to more constructive dialogues. Social skills are also crucial. Engage in active listening. When someone speaks to you, truly listen without planning your response. Show interest and ask questions that reflect your understanding of their experiences. Building emotional intelligence is also a journey of constant learning and improvement. Allow yourself to make mistakes, and view them as opportunities to grow. Surround yourself with emotionally intelligent people and learn from their responses. You might notice that they often exhibit calmness and patience in situations where others do not. Lastly, always approach this journey with compassion, both for yourself and others. Remember that everyone is navigating their own emotional landscapes, and everyone has unique struggles and strengths. Finally, a practical tip: start each day with a positive affirmation. Something as simple as "Today, I will handle situations calmly and thoughtfully" can set the tone for your interactions throughout the day. This small habit can gradually transform your mindset, helping you naturally integrate emotional intelligence into your daily life. Thank you for joining us on this journey through emotional intelligence mastery, unlocking the power within. We hope this audiobook has provided you with valuable insights and practical tools to enhance your emotional intelligence, empowering you to navigate life's challenges with greater awareness and resilience. As you continue to apply these principles, remember that emotional intelligence is a lifelong practice. Each step you take towards understanding and managing your emotions brings you closer to a more fulfilling and balanced life. Whether it's improving your relationships, excelling in your career, or fostering personal growth, the skills you've gained here will serve as a powerful foundation. Embrace the journey ahead with compassion for yourself and others. Continue to cultivate empathy, practice mindfulness, and remain open to learning and growth. Your commitment to developing emotional intelligence will not only transform your own life, but also positively impact those around you. Thank you for listening, and may your path to emotional intelligence mastery be filled with discovery, growth, and profound inner strength.